emotion's attractive hook. Layla Vance never thought one simple trip to the mall would change everything. She had planned only to stop by for a new coat. It had been a terrible day at work, full of endless paperwork, angry customers, and mistakes from the accounting team that ruined her afternoon. Her head hurt, her shoulders were tight, and she just wanted to get home, remove her shoes, and rest. But on her way, she remembered her old green trench coat had finally given out. The sleeves were torn, and the color had faded. So, even though she hated shopping, she decided to buy a new one. Maybe it was exhaustion, or maybe something deep inside her pushed her to go that evening. The mall was busy and bright, filled with the smell of coffee and pastries. People hurried past with shopping bags, chatting and laughing. Layla checked her phone. It was 6:30. She figured she had time to find a coat and still be home by 8. She took the escalator to the upper floor where the clothing stores were and stopped in front of a boutique she had never entered before. The display showed a lovely navy blue coat that looked both elegant and practical. She went inside. The air smelled clean and pleasant, and everything sparkled under the soft lights. A friendly young clerk greeted her and helped her pick out a few coats to try on. Layla chose the navy one, liking its smooth fabric and deep color. She went into a fitting room, closed the curtain, and slipped off her jacket. The store's music played softly in the background as she tried on the coat. It fit nicely, comfortable and stylish. She was just about to unbutton it when she froze. From the next fitting room, she heard a man's voice, calm, familiar, and unmistakable. It was Marcus, her husband. Her heart started pounding. He was speaking to someone, his tone light and confident. "Yeah, I signed for the loan in her name. She'll never know," he said. Layla felt her blood turn cold. A woman's soft laugh followed. She listened, barely breathing, as Marcus explained how he had taken out a $45,000 loan under her name, forging her signature. He bragged that she never checked their accounts, that she trusted him completely. He said the money had already gone through and that they would use it for a trip to Cancun together, the business trip he had told her about. The woman teased him, and he laughed again. So sure of himself, so sure she would never find out. Layla sat on the small bench, numb. Her thoughts were scattered, her body stiff. She remembered all of the times Marcus had been distant, the weekends he was away, the messages she never questioned. Slowly, a new clarity replaced her shock. She needed proof. With trembling hands, she pulled out her phone, opened the recorder, and pressed the red button. The device vibrated once. Recording started. Marcus kept talking unaware. He mentioned plans to visit the woman that night, saying Layla thought he was working late. They joked about the money and the things they would buy. Layla clenched her fists. The man she thought she knew, the one she trusted with everything, had been lying for years. She sat there, silent and cold, while his words filled the small space. Each sentence cut through her like glass. Everything she believed about her marriage, her safety, her life, it was all an illusion. But as she listened, something hardened inside her. The shock faded, replaced with calm determination. When she finally stepped out of that fitting room, phone still recording, her world had changed forever. Marcus's voice came clearly through the recording. He was talking about the condo, explaining how he planned to get more than half after the divorce. He said that legally it should be split equally, but he could find a clever lawyer to make it seem like he deserved 2/3. Layla sat staring at her phone screen, watching the seconds pass. Every word from him was like a blade, cutting away the last pieces of what she once believed their marriage was. 2.5 minutes of betrayal, proof of everything. Her heart didn't even ache anymore. There was only emptiness, cold and deep, where love used to live. From the next room, the woman's cheerful voice broke the silence. "Let's go. I still need to look at that red dress." Marcus laughed softly and promised to buy her everything she wanted: dress, shoes, even a matching clutch. "Don't worry, we have plenty." Layla pressed the stop button on her phone and saved the file. It was done. She had proof. Her body felt weak, her legs heavy, but she made herself move. Slowly, she took off the coat, put her jacket back on, picked up her purse, and checked that her phone was safe in her pocket. Then she drew in a long breath and pushed open the curtain. Marcus was standing right there, only a few feet away. Beside him was a young woman with flawless makeup and red lipstick, dressed in a short black outfit and golden earrings. She was laughing, leaning toward him, the kind of bright, carefree laugh she hadn't heard in her home for years. Marcus turned when he heard Layla's steps. His expression froze, all color draining from his face. The smile vanished instantly. The woman went quiet, glancing nervously between them. "Layla?" Marcus stammered, his voice hoarse. "What are you doing here?" She looked at him steadily, her face calm and unreadable. Then she lifted her phone so he could see the glowing screen, the saved recording, 2.5 minutes long. "I recorded it," she said softly, but the words hit like thunderclap. Marcus's mouth opened, his skin gray and waxy. "What?" he whispered, though his eyes showed that he already knew. Layla didn't stay to hear excuses. She turned and walked straight past the racks and displays. The clerk called after her, asking about the coat, but Layla didn't answer. Behind her, Marcus's voice followed, trembling and desperate. "Layla, please wait. Please let's talk. It's not what you think." But she kept walking, her steps firm and her back straight. The store doors slid open, and the chill of the evening air touched her face. Only when she got into a taxi did she finally let herself breathe again. Her hands were shaking, but she held the phone tightly. The proof was there. Her life had fallen apart, but now she knew the truth. When she reached the condo, she locked every bolt behind her. The silence inside felt strange, like she was standing in someone else's home. She dropped her purse, sat on the edge of the bed, and the tears finally came. She cried until her chest hurt, until she could hardly breathe. 8 years of marriage, of trust, of shared dreams, all gone in an instant. But once the storm passed, reason took over. She wiped her face, opened the drawer where they kept important papers, and searched. Her hands trembled as she found the loan agreement, her name, her ID, the forged signature. It was real. He had stolen her identity. Layla called the bank, her voice shaking but firm. The operator confirmed it. A $45,000 loan issued just 3 days ago. She was told to come in and file a fraud report in person. It would take up to 10 days to resolve, but the process was clear. She thanked the woman and hung up. There was no time to lose. Marcus could return any minute. Layla packed a small bag, clothes, documents, phone charger, and the loan papers, and decided to go to her sister Imani's place. But before she could leave, she heard the sound of the door unlocking. Marcus stepped in, pale and nervous. He tried to speak softly, to explain, but Layla was done listening. He called it a mistake, an accident, a moment of weakness. She called it what it was: fraud, betrayal, and cruelty. When he tried to reach her, she stepped back. "Don't touch me," she said coldly. "I'm leaving." Marcus begged, but she ignored him. "Tomorrow morning, I'll be at the bank and then the police. If you want to talk, you can talk to them." And she walked out. That night, at her sister's apartment, Layla finally told the whole story about the mall, the recording, the lies. Imani listened quietly, holding her sister's hand. "He's not getting away with this," she said firmly. "We'll handle it together." At the station, a younger detective named Johnson listened as she repeated everything in order. When he finished taking notes, he said, "Your husband forged your name and took out a loan without permission. He'll face charges. If he admits guilt, he may only get probation and must repay you. If not, he could go to jail for up to 3 years. I just want justice," Isla said quietly, "and I want a divorce." After leaving the station, she went straight to the county clerk's office and filled out the divorce form. It was short and cold: irreconcilable differences. That night, she texted Marcus to meet at a cafe. He looked exhausted, begging her to forgive him. "I'll pay it all back," he said. Isla stayed calm. "It's too late," she told him. "I filed for divorce. Please do the same." He finally agreed. 3 months later, the divorce was final. Isla stood outside the clerk's office holding the paper that ended 8 years of pain. The sun broke through the clouds, and for the first time in years, she smiled, not from joy, but from peace. He had worked hard all his life, always chasing success, but now Julian wanted to live for himself. Isla smiled and said softly, "I understand. I'm learning to live for myself too." When they left the learning center, a light drizzle fell, and the air was chilly. Julian opened his umbrella and offered to walk her to the bus stop. She thanked him, and they walked side by side under the small umbrella, talking about class, their plans, and little things. It felt easy and peaceful. For the first time in a long while, Isla felt she could talk freely without fear of judgment. At the stop, they said goodbye. Julian smiled and said, "Maybe we could have coffee after class sometime, just to talk." Isla hesitated for a second, then nodded. "Sure, why not?" They began meeting now and then, sometimes for coffee, sometimes for walks through the quiet streets after class. Julian spoke about his work, how he built houses, and how he wanted to create something lasting. He also told her that his marriage had ended quietly. No fights, no betrayal. He and his wife had simply grown apart after 15 years and chose peace instead of resentment. Listening to him, Isla realized that endings didn't always need to be dramatic. Sometimes people changed and simply went their separate ways. Julian didn't rush her or demand closeness. He was steady and kind, giving her the space she needed. Around him, Isla felt calm, something she hadn't felt in years. One crisp November night, they walked along the frozen river. The lights from the bridge shimmered on the icy surface. Julian stopped and looked at her. "I know you're being careful," he said softly, "but I want you to know I truly enjoy spending time with you. I'd like to get to know you better, only if you're ready." Isla met his eyes and saw honesty there. For the first time since her marriage ended, she felt ready to try again. "I'm open to it," she said quietly, "but let's take it slow. I need time." Julian smiled warmly. "As much as you need, we have time." December brought snow and a new start. Isla painted her apartment light beige, changed the curtains, and brought a soft new sofa. The space finally felt like hers. On New Year's Eve, she celebrated with her sister, Amani. They ate sweet potato pie, drank sparkling cider, and watched old movies. When midnight came, they toasted to strength and new beginnings. In January, Marcus sent the next part of the repayment. Isla placed it in her savings account, planning to travel that summer with Shayla. life was steady again. Spanish classes ended and she signed up for the next level. Julian and she began seeing each other more often: movies, theater, museums. He took her to the Philharmonic and she discovered a love for classical music. One crisp evening in February, sitting in his car after a concert, Julian turned to her. "I'm happy with you," he said gently. Isla took his hand. "I'm happy too. I'm ready to try." Their first kiss was tender, slow, full of quiet trust. Spring came early. Isla joined a gym thanks to Nicole's insistence. Marcus paid the final $10,000, closing that chapter forever. She didn't hate him anymore. She simply no longer cared. Her past was a lesson. Love should never mean losing yourself. In April, Julian invited her on a weekend trip to a nearby city for an art show. They explored galleries, strolled by the water, and watched the sunset over dinner. "A year ago," Isla said softly, "I couldn't imagine being this happy again." Julian squeezed her hand. "I'm glad we met." That night, back home, Isla made tea and sat by her window, watching the quiet street. Her life was finally her own, simple, free, and real. She opened her phone and typed a new goal: learn to be happy. Then she smiled.